Welcome to Imperfectly Human, the podcast where we get real about mental health, messy growth, and being human one day at a time. I'm your host, Rachel, and together we're navigating life's chaos with honesty, compassion, and a little humor. Let's get into it. Hello, people, and thank you so much for joining us today on Imperfectly Human. I am your host, Rachel, and today I have an amazing friend, a great colleague, and an amazing holistic therapist, Corynne. First of all, I need to preface this by saying, I've had a little bit of coffee that was not supposed to be regular coffee, so I apologize, people, if I'm speaking a little faster because I'm literally, feeling this jitters. But I have to just welcome you because, Corynne, we've been talking about doing this. One of your goals has been to do this before your 40th.
Yes.
Which I'm like, oh my God, I'm 15 years older than you. Holy shit.
No, you're not.
That is crazy.
It honestly, we're peers.
I know we are peers. But so thank you so much for coming. I'm so grateful that you're here because we have a lot to talk about.
I know. The fact that you accidentally drank caffeine today is probably not the greatest thing, but also the most exciting thing. We're just gonna be bouncing back and forth.
Fucking love with this.
I'm so excited to be here today, and I feel like, to your point, this 40 before 40 exciting thing that I was doing, and I'm like, one of the things is a podcast. It just worked out so beautifully.
Right. And just so backstory for people, because obviously they don't know our history, right? But you and I have only known each other friend-wise for a couple of months.
Yeah.
We've been colleagues by
Distance
really. Because
yeah.
we rented the same space.
Yeah.
We were renting the same office space. And we met one time, I think 2 years ago.
At a lunch and
right,
learn
at a
type
luncheon.
of thing. Yeah.
And we'd spoken through text. But it was when you were creating this retreat and you said, hey, I'm sending you this flyer. It's a retreat. It's a women's retreat. It's about health and wellness. And I just didn't even, the only thing I asked was what is the food, right?
You literally said, is it all mushrooms?
Right.
I was like,
because I had a traumatic experience with another retreat that I said yes to at a great location. It was all mushroom based. Every freaking meal.
Obviously you shared that story with me.
Right.
I'm like, that's such an interesting thing. Why? No, I don't think we're going to only be eating mushrooms. And now I understand. It makes sense.
So I said yes, and I showed up. And at that point, I had only met you personally in person that one time.
Yeah.
And we had talked about possibly renting office space together.
Yep.
And we really weren't finished doing that. But so I showed up at this retreat, and I remember your hair is exactly, you showed up that day, and I'll never forget. I had just done this 2.5 hour drive. I showed up. Your hair is straight. I'd only known you from really curly hair. And I had to do a double take. I'm like, is that Corynne?
Really? I didn't even know that.
I know. I never shared that with you.
That's so funny.
Because it's
they're very distinct,
very different looks, right? Yeah. They're both gorgeous. They're both beautiful.
Thank you.
But I was expecting this really curly
crazy
person hair. And you showed up with this straight hair. And I'm like, is that Corynne?
That's so funny.
I feel like we talk about C13,
yeah.
right? That's the sorority that we become because it really was a sisterhood that some people knew each other from before. Others were aware of each other. I didn't really know anybody other than you and I, just meeting by, people.
Yeah.
And we've met our greatest friends. I know that these 12 other women are sisters for life.
It's amazing.
Right?
I have to say, just from the start with what you're describing, when I sent you the flyer and I was telling you about it, and you were you responded, tell me more, I'm interested. And the way that I so admire there was no hesitation. Mm-hmm. I do believe there was a synchronicity element because you had said, I'm really looking for something like this. I could use it.
Yeah.
It's been it could
shitty year, you could say it.
Yeah.
It's been a shit year.
I was I'm not sure how to say that. So it made sense, but even just the fact that you were so ready to jump in, and I just admire that because I feel like it takes a lot of courage, especially women, right, to join a group of other women and to, that is the idea of what a retreat is, but it's not something that most of us just jump into.
Yeah.
And so then when you were like, let's do it, the mushroom question, we got that worked out. But what has come from this group blew like all of my expectations so far out of the water.
Right?
It's incredible.
It's what you and Jenna created. And Christina. I mean, like the
Incredible.
three of you all, like really, I think it was your vision with like Jenna and like building that.
Yeah.
And just the women. And we're all so different. I mean, look,
So
you and I
different.
have a 15-year age difference, right? And I know that Corey's a little older than me, right?
Yeah.
And Jules too. At the end of the day, like, but we all have one commonality that we're
Yeah.
all business women in some mindset. Some of us are moms,
Yeah.
right? Some of us are married, some of us are single, and we just all have like a true love for each other.
Yeah. It's funny because I think that like the automatic connective element is anyone who goes to a retreat just automatically has a like-minded element,
Yeah.
right? Like regardless of what brought you there. And I think there's something special about it being different and everyone having their own. I even remember the first night when we were kind of sitting around the fire and
Yeah.
everyone's whatever they're willing to share. Like, what brought you here? Why are you
Right.
here? And truly so incredibly different.
Totally.
When I think about like the magic that has come from it, and I think about we've had one of the women who went with another. I feel so weird calling them women because they're our friends, but one of the women who went with another one of the women to go for a mammogram, or one like there's just so much beauty and support, and just again like this new community that
Yeah.
is so special.
100%.
So special.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that you came.
Yeah, well, I'm grateful you're here, and I'm grateful that we're not just colleagues anymore. Like I consider you one of my sisters because like we have this foundation. And what's funny is leading up to this, people, I need to just share this because this podcast is about being imperfectly human, right? And you were asking me, and we just met like Wednesday night because we had our C13 gathering,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
And you were asking me all about it, and we were also talking about how we are we're both moms, we're both business owners, we're both like very much perfectionistic go-getters, but we've also both really struggled with like a lot of that ability to just be present at times because we want to be everywhere.
Yeah.
Not because we think we're amazing, but just because that's just who the fuck we are.
It's nature.
Right? It's literally just who we are.
Yeah.
And so you are starting to ask me questions about how is this podcast going to run? What is the topic? And I'm like, no. I found myself wanting to share. And then I'm like, no, Rachel, that is her perfectionistic thinking. You are not giving into this. You're just going to go off the cusp. Like it's not going to be about anything other than us being imperfectly human.
Yeah.
And I think that what I want to talk about is actually that, like how we are trying to present our authentic selves to the world, right? Social media is a big piece. You and I are both talking about shifting a little bit in our practices and what we're doing and how we show up differently and how it's so freaking hard.
Yeah.
Because social media, right, is not something, I mean, I could tell you that I definitely did not grow up with social media. I mean, for the love of God, I was just having this conversation with my son last night. He's like, when did Facebook for you, Mom? When did you start using it? Like, how old were you? Like 16, 17? I'm 16, 17. I didn't even have a computer at 16,
Yeah, I was
17.
gonna
Are you
say.
kidding me? We had like dial up. Like you had to dial up on your phone to
Yeah.
get onto a computer
Yeah,
when that first
yeah.
happened. I did not get my first phone until I was a sophomore in college. So in 1990, I got my first cell phone, but it was the kind that it wasn't one of these
Sure,
things.
yeah.
It was the kind that was big ass. It screwed into your car and it had a cord,
Yeah.
and you better know the people you were calling because or
No
have that
one's
written down
numbers.
because there was no texting. There
Yeah.
was none of this free like storing. It was just boop 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 dial up. I
Yeah.
mean, right? And he's like, so then when was the first time you got on Instagram and Facebook? I said, I think I just got on Instagram a few years ago.
With you.
Right. With you.
Yeah.
I think you probably had that before I
Yeah.
did. I think MySpace was around in like 20 years ago. 20 years ago is when MySpace was around.
Yeah.
That was my first, and I was 35. So now here we are, fast forward,
Crazy.
55, you're almost 40. This is not like something we technically really grew up with. So it's hard to show up, right? So how do you show up? Like we talked about this, like how do you show up? Because we're great at implementing, and you might need to cut me off because that fucking caffeine, I could feel it. It's like
I'm here for it,
literally,
Rachel.
like I'm like, you haven't shut up, Rachel. right?
The coffee feeling, but like in your body,
yeah,
is
I feel this
so
anxiety
real.
right here, which I know people, it's not actually anxiety. It's just the
yeah, it's
sensation
body anxiety,
of the
yeah.
body anxiety that I get from drinking caffeine. I'd like
Yeah.
to get a belly breath, and I'd like my mouth to shut up, right?
The same things happen. Well, so just as a side note, on the way here, I was talking to one of our chosen 13 ladies,
Right.
and I was like, the two of us, I feel like we could just go all day. We could just talk, like
100%.
it's just wild. To answer your question, well, and also I feel the same way. I remember Facebook for me was in college when it first came out. It was like one college at a time. So I think I got Facebook sophomore year, and at that time there was no like. It didn't even, the idea of it being something that was going to be around forever and like what you were posting and this like digital footprint, it was just like a fun thing that you did. And I Instagram started similarly, and it wasn't just until maybe 2 years ago that I really was like, this is what we want and have to do now, right? Like it's just how we're gonna be reached, right? It's how people are gonna find us, how we're gonna find people. And so I think the question you were asking is like, how do you
show up?
How do I show up? Well, I'll tell you something really funny. And I try to be authentic about this, but to your point, this like the perfectionistic, like, and that's very much, I think, what social media is, right? It's this pressure to like get the right picture, be performative, and like have it look a certain way, create this image. And I remember I really tried to be authentic about like the first time I was even posting a picture. The camera, like my camera roll, it was like video after video or picture after picture of me just like, that one didn't look right, or I think I sounded weird,
Right.
and it's exhausting. Where like the
100%.
first time I did something, I want to say it probably took me an hour to film like not even 2 minute, like a 20-second clip.
An hour, that's pretty good. It usually takes me about 3.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it was 3, but it's just it's exhausting, and I think that one of the things that I say to myself, there's also like, I don't want to say nobody cares because that's a little bit of a self-deprecating, but nobody really cares that much,
100%.
right? Like,
I agree
and
with
so
you.
it's like the reminding of we overanalyze, we are so hard on ourselves, we are so much more self-critical, and if somebody else is that self-critical, how much does that really matter anyway?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I feel like it's this interesting game of like pushing yourself just far enough outside of your comfort zone where it's expansive and it's opportunity. Like even being here today, right?
Yeah.
Like this is my first time doing something like
Absolutely.
this. Versus so pushing yourself outside the comfort zone versus just sort of like it's not that deep.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
100%. And it's so funny because I'm the same, right? I can be like, "Da-da-da," and then I'm like overthinking. And then I'm like, nope, we're going to stop.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't have my phone 2 days ago because I had to turn it in because Apple needed to fix the battery. For an hour and a half, I didn't have my phone. And I observed how freeing I felt and how much anxiety I also felt.
Yeah.
Because, oh my God, first of all, I had my nephew. So the fact that I had my almost 2-year-old nephew and my niece, my sister-in-law couldn't really get in touch with me.
Oh, that's
even though I
stressful.
told her
Yeah, yeah.
I was going to turn my phone in. But the freeing part
Yeah.
was amazing.
Yeah.
And we are so attached to these devices.
It's so
and,
true.
You know, and as clinicians, right, you're 100% correct. I've never had to market myself. I've never had to show up anywhere. People knew me. People referred me. Residential treatment centers, right?
Yeah.
Whether it be my DBT or my performance coaching piece. But now people aren't Googling anymore. They're going to TikTok. They're going to Instagram. They're going to Facebook. They're going to LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Right? So if we want to be seen, we want to keep working with people, we need to start showing up.
Absolutely. You know, I want to say, because as you're saying this to me, it's reminding me of the phone piece is it's wild how, I mean, I think we're all so connected to it. We are glued to it. I see it with my kids, right? Like even my oldest is going into 6th grade. She has a phone. She has a different type of phone than we have. So it's very limited, it's controlled. And I'm literally watching how now that like it's becoming more of a thing, it's like an appendage. It's part of her.
100%.
But it's the same thing for me. To your point, if you forget your phone, even when I drop the kids off at school, if I realize I don't have my phone, there's like this immediate like
100%.
feeling in me. But I do want to say, because this is my honest and authentic truth, as you're saying this part about social media, and I'm like, it's not that deep. The flip of it is that when I post things with my like clinical hat on, therapist and or coach, I feel confident. I feel, I'm confident in my capabilities. I'm confident in the experience I have and my expertise. When I post things that are more like personal and not even my personal, but for instance, I just posted something the other day that was a lot of pictures of me.
I saw that. I love that.
Thank you. I love the message. It was
a fabulous message.
But when I post those types of things, I like text right away. I have my little cheerleading squad. I'm like, I feel like I'm naked. I feel like I'm on social media and I'm naked. And it's this interesting experience of like vulnerability where we as therapists and clinicians, that's not typically the role that we're in, right?
Correct.
Like we say we're a blank slate, right? That's like a whole other conversation, but it's not about us. And so when I do these things online, it's a very interesting role reversal because it's me again. I'm being deliberate, but I feel a little exposed.
Yeah.
It's a very different role.
100%.
Do you feel that way?
Yeah, and it's interesting. What I have found is when I speak from my heart, and I'm just, especially like on TikTok, for example, because I try to use TikTok now.
You're ahead of me.
Right, but I'm literally trying to use TikTok not for therapy or coaching at all. It's literally for me to kind of just practice my speaking.
Oh, that's smart.
Right, because it was so many pieces. There's Instagram, there's LinkedIn, there's Facebook, there's YouTube. I just can't.
Yeah.
Right, especially because, like I said, a 20-second clip takes me an hour and a half to edit.
Yeah.
All right. With that being said, is that the things have gone viral on my TikTok, like millions of views or like hundreds of thousands of views, have been me just speaking
like off the cuff.
Yeah.
Like people feel that.
Yeah, and I really try that, and it's Instagram. It's interesting on Instagram. You hear like, oh, do this, and you got to do this, and then one coach tells you this, and then this coach, and I'm like, for the love of God, who am I speaking to?
Yeah.
Right. And then I'm just like, you got to just start showing up, Rachel.
Yeah.
Just show up. And what I'm doing for me is really just because, I did a podcast yesterday is about fear and how fear for so many people is not so like in your face, right? Right. Like when I'm doing, like when I was challenged to do my Ironman, right? I recognize that fear. The fear popped up immediately. I know what it is because I'm terrified of sharks. I'm not getting in the ocean. That fear was loud. I could identify it. But this type of fear of like am I going to be judged? Am I looking okay? Like, is that a good angle? Is that a bad angle? Right?
Yeah.
Like that fear of being not perfect is so quiet. Mm-hmm. And that's the part that if you don't really take a deep breath to just identify it and look like what's getting in your way, then it's hard to name it.
Yeah.
And change it.
Yeah, you're so right.
And so, think about what we've done as moms, right? I can only speak for me, but I know that I am not a perfect mom, and I definitely have screwed up on a daily basis. I've always said to my kids,
Same.
I will promise you two things in life. One, I will always love you unconditionally, no strings attached, regardless of your path, regardless of who you love, regardless of your journey and what you do. And I'm going to fuck up on a daily basis because the truth is, right? Yeah. But think about us as parents, as moms. Did you stop before making certain decisions and overthink what you were going to do, how you were going to respond to your kids, whether it was a yes, whether it was a no, whether it was...
Yeah.
We didn't.
Yeah.
We just acted in the best intuition.
Yes.
So how do we as therapists, as coaches, we're licensed clinicians with decades of experience, right? How do we also transform that, transpose that, reinvent that, so to speak, bring that into our online world?
I even what you're saying about the being a mom, right? Because there is an intuitive. I believe so firmly that there is such an intuitive element to it. And I would say it's the same thing with working with a client, right?
100%.
Like when you're in a session or when you're in this space with a client, you're not in your head thinking, in the beginning you are, right? Like I can remember in my internship 16, 17 years ago when I'm like, in supervision, I'm like, well, they said this and I wasn't ready.
Of course.
But now it's so intuitive.
Yeah.
And I do think that like one of the things is letting the intuitive guide more than anxiety, which is hard to do when you are more perfectionist
Right.
and all of this. But I also think there's an element of, it's like a muscle, right? It's
Yeah.
confidence. And so I think that I find the more that I do the things that make me uncomfortable, just like anything else, and the stronger we get at it, the better we get at it, the less we overthink it. And I see it. Like
Yeah.
I see it across the board with so many different things. And I feel like there's something so empowering and also so like kind of a little like, ooh, that's a hard thing to look at
Yeah.
when I think to myself, like, take your own advice.
100%.
Whether it's what I say to my kids, whether it's what I'm working on with a client, whether it's what I would say to a friend, right? Like
Right.
there's something so like humbling, I guess
Yeah.
is the idea, or just even a little ego
Yeah.
slamming when I'm like, well, you preach this, you
Right.
say these things, like
Yeah.
and I have people in my life that are like the first ones that will be like, Corynne,
Right.
like
What would you
practice
say?
what you preach.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's
yeah.
so interesting because, right, we know what I do, right? I'm a DBT therapist and I've been in practice for almost 3 decades, right? And I'm also a mindset performance coach, right?
Yeah.
I'm an athlete. I work with athletes, right? I work with high performers because they're kind of one and the same. Working with an athlete and helping them perform differently and taking the pressure off and stopping the 2 a.m. spirals is definitely a lot more of an easier space for me to be in because I'm an athlete.
Yeah,
I
you
can relate to that.
Yeah.
And being a high performing executive person, I can also relate to, but that one's a little quieter because it's not so tangible in the
Yeah.
sense like, hey, you want to qualify for Boston? Let's stop the overtraining. Let's
That
stop
makes
looking
sense.
at the Garmin. Let's stop worrying about the speed. When you are dedicating a run and you're going to do a speed workout, that's the time you could focus on your Garmin, right? But the other times you're training, you're not. You're focusing on how it feels. What's the breath? What are you doing for a water break? What are you doing for a gel break, right? Versus a high performer who just overthinks,
Yeah,
overplays,
yeah.
and has that underlying quiet perfectionistic thinking is a lot harder to challenge.
Well, I feel like it looks different,
It
right?
totally looks different.
We think, and to your point, when you see your work being mirrored in your own experience
Yeah.
in life, I can totally relate to that with a lot of the work that I do, whether it be that high functioning anxiety, the people pleasing, the perfectionist piece. It's so different because the measurement of success is also directly connected to like the
outcome.
outcome, but also like the unhealthy part of it, right?
Correct.
So like for you as an athlete, the measurement of success is simple, right? It's did you beat your time? Did
Right.
you are you moving up in whatever that measurement is for you? Whereas with some of the other things we're talking about, high functioning anxiety, high performers,
Absolutely.
the measurement is also directly feeding into more of the struggle, right?
Yeah.
So like when you do more, but you're also more burnt out, or you
100%.
push yourself more, so you're getting the success and you're getting the accolade, but at this major cost to you.
Right.
It's hard to connect that.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it all comes back to like the identity as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's kind of like showing up, right? Am I this person? Am I tied to how many views, how many followers, how many likes,
Yeah.
how many people comment on it? Why is that attached to I'm a good person but it's not, right?
It's not, but it's everywhere, right? Like, and
100%.
that's to your point of like the difference in social media now. There's
Yeah.
something so, it's terrifying. My kids being young, my daughter is my oldest. She's going to be 11. She's not yet on this social media.
Right.
Like she's
Keep
not in
her
that
off
world.
of that
It's
for a long
obviously,
time.
it's coming though, right? And like there's something so, it's just so unavoidable.
Right.
I feel like there's just such a shift in releasing the expectation and also like the measurement of success being about the validation or the feedback or
100%.
the things that you're getting. But that's a huge shift for those people that are, especially like the people pleasing, who are used to getting and controlling the narrative
Yeah.
on the other side. For the high performers, it's a
hard shift.
It's a hard shift.
Yeah, for sure.
I have to say, just as we're talking about this, it's reminding me, and I know I mentioned this in the beginning, that this like it started off, it was a friend of mine who I had seen, she did this 40 before 40. And I was like, that's such a great idea. And so I took it and I ran with it. And
so can you explain? So you wrote 40 things that you wanted to do before you were 40.
Yes. So she
When
had
did you
shared.
start that though? I'm just curious.
Well, I started it too late. I'm going to be 40 in 2 weeks. And let me tell
I'm
you.
like, holy shit.
I still have a shit ton to do. But I started it, I want to say maybe it was like November.
Okay.
So like less
So
than 6
if
months.
I start now, my 60 before 60,
You're
I've got
good.
like 5.5 years. Okay.
This is a perfect time to start.
I'll start that.
I turned 40 June 6th, and I started this.
Oh my God,
I
right,
wanna,
another Gemini
I know.
is
Wait,
in my life.
That's a lot. I think I started it. It might have been, it was before the holidays, so maybe like November. And it's been so fun. And what I was going to say to you was this interesting experience of what it's been. And like some of them are small, some of them are like a little bit bigger. And the really cool part about it is that more than anything, because really like when do we prioritize the things that like, you know, some silly examples are using gift cards that I just have had forever that I haven't used. And like, again, silly.
I don't think that's actually silly, to be honest with you.
Maybe not. Like my husband got me like this dream day of this is like my dream day. It's called the Biohack Lab. You know, I'm like into all
yeah,
these like
totally. I love that.
So, and he got it for me last year for my birthday, and it's a whole day, right? Like it sounds like a dream, but again, as a mom, as a business owner,
I love that.
So I
wanna
haven't
do
done
that.
it. We can go together because I still haven't
so
gone.
when my husband listens to this podcast, babe, if one thing you'd like to get me for my list, I know I'm.
Biohack Lab.
But here's the thing: I'm already so ahead with my birthday gifts because my husband tends to give me birthday gifts like way in advance, right?
So then on the day of
I think
your
I'm on my
birthday?
60th birthday now, and I'm really turning 55. So for my 60th birthday, babe, maybe if you get it, this Biohack Lab, because I would like they go in and like they look at all of.
So
What is it, right? I don't even know
So
what it is,
you
but
can
I'm
do
asking
like
for it.
you can do different things. It's basically it is, and I haven't gone yet. So if you wanna get this gift certificate, we can do a day together. But it's basically like the gift that he got me is a specific day. They have like different packages. So this one is like there's contrast therapy, there's red light. What else was there? There's like maybe like 5 or 6 things, and it's probably like a 7-hour. But I haven't used it, right? Because we don't prioritize these things. So some of the things on the list were just like to actually like get back into acupuncture, to do things like that. Some of them were a little bit bigger. I'm like such a fan of solo travel, and I haven't done that since having a kid or having my kids. So one
I've
of them
never
is
done
like,
that.
oh, Rachel, it's like
You go like travel like to
Well,
Europe, like the world.
yeah.
By
I mean,
yourself?
what I'm gonna do.
Holy shit, that scares the crap out of me.
It is. I'm not going to travel like that right now. That's not the season I'm in. But just going to a hotel and like being by myself for an entire day and
that
a
I've
night.
done.
I haven't done that since
Only
having
because
kids.
if I've gone to visit my kids at college, right? Like,
Yeah,
and my
yeah,
husband
yeah.
doesn't come, then I'm.
But even that's different, right? Like scheduling something even local and just going and spending the night. But what this has shown me is how important it is to let go of the like this crazy overscheduled everything is this, and just have fun and be joyful. And I feel like going back to the social media conversation,
Yeah.
when I approach anything that I do in social media, even in my work, with more of that like joy and excitement and like less pressury performative outcome, it's like the whole point of life. It's such a
100%.
different experience. And like the 40 before 40, which will now be 40 at 40, because your girl still got a lot to do, it has really shown me that.
I love
Just
that.
how important
I'm
it
gonna
is to
do that.
you should.
I'm going to write that down.
You should.
Can some things I've already done count towards that?
Yeah,
Or-
why not? I love making lists
we
and
can
like
make my
already
own
doing it
I
and
can make my
crossing.
own rules, right?
Yeah, it's your list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how we talk about, I think it's important also, is like us being, we're type A for sure. Can I say you're a type A as well?
I'm type A, but I'm also like super type B. It depends on what area of my life.
Yeah, I'm not type B at all.
Yeah, no,
There's
I
not a
have
part of
lot
me that
type
has
B.
any type B at all.
Yeah.
I do say that my kids kind of fucked up my type A personality because they kind of taught me how that I didn't have a choice, right? Like I can be this way and they're going to give
Do
me a
what they
different
want.
plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
It's a good,
So
a
I kind
good
of
lesson. excuse
Yeah, I
me.
definitely learned it, and it wasn't a bad thing by any
Yeah.
means, right? Because I definitely learned to think more in that middle path, as much as I tried to keep it very this way or that way. And being a DBT therapist, obviously, like for so many years. I mean, I've had to think in that gray zone, right?
Yeah.
That middle path, which has been very helpful and very calming.
Yeah.
But I think that as a mom and a business person, and type A with a little b for you, right? That we talk about that work-life integration, not even work-life balance, because I don't believe that there is a work-life balance is very much black and white thinking. I think it's all about work-life integration, which is the kind of work I bring into my clients that I work with, especially in my coaching piece, right? It's not an either or. It's like, how do you integrate your work into your life?
Yeah.
Right? What would you say would be like, how do you do that for yourself? And I know we're always a work in progress, which is why this is Imperfectly Human, because we're still human.
Right? I definitely, it would be interesting to hear, because depending on in what capacity you know me in my life, I would probably get like this very type A or this like very type B, depending on what hat I'm wearing. I feel like
Would the garage car going into the garage be type B?
That is like one of countless examples, Rachel. It's bad. What Rachel's referring to is I got so excited. I've never parked in the garage at our office, and I've been in this office for 10 years.
Right. Which, by the way, we fought for to have on our lease. To get parking in the garage
I was
without
so
paying
excited.
for it.
I was like, Rachel's opening up a whole new world for me. Like when it rains or when I leave late, I'm gonna get to like. And so like, the first day I get my clicker, I go down, and I think you might have asked or gone. Someone asked me.
I asked
can I
you,
fit?
will your car fit?
Yeah, it was you.
I was actually more not even worrying about the top of it, but that turn is very hard, which
I nailed the turn.
You nailed the turn. That's
nailed
awesome
the turn.
because I have not. Like my back left tire has hit that quite often.
Several times.
But I didn't even think about the height.
I didn't either. And when you asked me, I'm like, oh, that's such a sweet, thoughtful thing to ask. But yeah, of course. What do you mean it's going to fit? And the first day I was actually on the phone. And I'm driving, and I'm just like having a good time. Yvonne, our receptionist, had given me 2 remotes. So I was like, which one's it going to be, right? And I go through, and it was like the loudest noise. It sounded, honestly, like an animal got run over. And I took off the little, like that cute little antenna fin from the top of my car. It was so bad. But yes, to answer your question, that is type B. And that's one of, I mean, I'm not going to go on about how many stories I have about cars. But I feel like the tricky part, and I imagine this is true for you too, we have so much flexibility with our job, right? It's my private practice. I set my hours. I am in a very interesting season of life. My kids are elementary school, and so I want to be a part of the things. I want to do the things. We have after-school activities. I want to go to the class parties, but I'm also incredibly passionate about the work that I do and motivated. And so there is no balance, to your point. I do not. And if there is, like, I don't know that I'll ever find it. But I think that for me, it looks more like being really intentional with boundaries. And I've gotten better about this.
That's it.
I don't think that
Can you say that right into the camera? Because I need my listeners to really.
Yeah, boundaries. I mean, I think that there's something to be said for we want to do it all. We want to be it all. We want to
help everybody.
Yeah. And when you have we really have the opportunity, right? I can schedule a session at 8:00 at night if someone calls or texts and needs something. But that can really quickly turn into exhaustion, burnout, overworking. And I've gone through seasons where that has definitely been, something that I've had to be mindful about. And so I really think that being so clear with myself, being really intentional about slowing down, and this is something that over the last couple of years I have really, really worked on. I actually think the pandemic was a gift for me in that because it really focused on, forced all of us to kind of pivot lifestyle. So I think to answer your question, it just looks like boundaries.
Right. Which is so interesting because when that pandemic hit, right, and my kids were in high school, okay?
Totally different for you,
So it was very different because thank God, and I feel all the moms out there that had elementary school kids, let alone middle schoolers. My kids were in high school. It was a freshman and sophomore, okay? But it was interesting because I found that because I was now working from home, I didn't allow myself time to sit. If I was in between clients, I was doing the laundry. I was cleaning up here.
Yes.
And it was interesting because I started to find myself doing more.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas before, when I'd have the office full time or I'd go into the space, and I mean, I didn't work outside the office, right?
So it was either like, it was very distinct. When you were working, you were here. Yeah. That's such a good point.
I didn't have the awareness at that time. I'm getting better. So like I will get dressed, even though I'm working from home, and I'm not talking about going into the office, but if I'm working from home, I will get dressed intentionally because I have to shift.
Yeah. That's a really
It's not like a
good
business
tool.
casual, like business up here and I'm in sweatpants. I'm literally dressed.
Yeah.
I put on my boots. Like today I'm wearing sneakers because it's my day off. You know, I'm kind of doing a lot of different things. But at home, when I'm working from home, I force myself to get dressed, even when I don't want to get dressed, even when I feel like crap and I'd like to call out and just stay in bed and do my, calls online.
Yeah.
But which I don't think any of my clients would care.
Yeah.
Right? Or sitting in a
But
different
it's your
spot.
mindset.
But
It's
it's
your
my
experience,
mindset.
yeah.
Right? So
You're so right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I find myself having to be intentional about that. And then when the day's over, I get out of my clothes.
Yeah. So I completely agree with what you're saying. And there are days if I have like an admin day, because if I'm home, I'm doing all of those things. And I'm so easily distractible. So I am doing the dishes in between a session, or I'm running and doing the laundry, or there's this that has to get done or that. And to your point of like that pandemic piece, my oldest went into kindergarten. So I had kindergarten, pre-K, and my youngest he was like 6 months old. And so that season it was like physically exhausting.
I'm sure.
But and it was also beautiful in its own right.
Yeah.
But you're so right. There are days if I'm having like a heavy admin day, or I know I've got to get all these things done, I'm behind on this or that, I will leave my house. And I don't always go to the office, right? Because obviously you and I have it on different days. It's not really that close to my house. I'll just go to a coffee shop.
Yeah,
and
that's what I need to start doing more of.
Rachel, those are my favorite days, because if I'm home, before I even know it, I'm like, oh, okay, I can't, before I do this email, let me just like get the kitchen cleaned, or let me do this, and then the next thing you know, it's like 3 hours later and you're cleaning out a closet.
I'm going to do that.
You should.
I'm
It feels
start doing
so good. It feels so good. And the energy in a coffee shop, like you'll find the ones that you really love. There are certain coffee shops that I go to, and like I'm just really big on like environment and like the energy piece. I swear there are certain coffee shops that I go to that I get more done and I'm more motivated at, because there's like this shared like
space.
Yeah.
Wait, so you're not going to gatekeep. You're going to tell me that. You could even tell me privately.
I'll tell you,
right?
but you got to come my way.
Yeah. Oh, is it you're buying me? Right?
They're by me.
No, but I think that you just bring up, I just had this like mindfulness, like aha moment, this like light bulb just went off in my brain that like on the days that I don't work, I typically don't work Tuesdays and Fridays, right? Those are my podcasting days. Those are my admin days, but they're all from home for the most part, unless I'm coming here to the studio because I've forced myself to like, you're joining here, you're coming here to do your podcast because I love it, right?
Yeah.
But you're so right. Like, especially that admin stuff, some of it I don't want to do.
100%.
So
but it's exciting when you get up and you go.
100%. But I get out of the house.
Yeah.
You're so right.
I love, like if I can, for your Tuesdays and Fridays, Mondays, and I feel like I'm kind of, my schedule is shifted a little bit right now, but a Monday is usually when I prefer. I love Mondays. There's something about a Monday that is like fresh start, recharge, and like it's like exciting to me. An ideal Monday is getting the kids out the door, coming back, getting all of my work stuff, going to a coffee shop, and like being in the zone for hours.
I'm going to do that on Tuesdays.
Okay. I love that for you.
Yeah, because Mondays are my office days. So those are the days that I'm typically in the office.
Yeah.
I do go to like a mastermind class, which is great because it does start my Monday off.
Yeah.
Like
I love
golden
that.
and strong with other women, even if I haven't
Love
a clue
that.
what I'm talking about, right? Or I'm even where they're at. But Mondays are typically my days to be in the office.
Yeah.
But
So Tuesdays,
I think
that's
I'm
your
going to
day.
start making my Tuesdays. Even though it's my podcasting days, I could also shift.
Decaf coffee though.
Oh my God, right? I feel it. Like I definitely can feel it. Can you
there
tell?
was no. I mean,
Really?
but I feel like you and I just kind of
Right,
like
we have the energy that we're like so energetic.
We're like, how much time do we have? We have so much to
Well,
cover.
like Janine's like, 3 hours, right? I'm like,
That's not
This
enough.
is fine. That's not enough. Janine and I, like we could sit, you and I sorry. I could tell Janine and I could do the same. Like Janine
Yeah.
and I, our energy is very similar to your and my energy.
I love it.
We could sit here for hours and talk, and then we're like, that's how we met. I came to
yeah?
look at the studio, right?
And the next thing you know, you're like,
the next thing I'm
that's-
spilling my fucking
that's-
story. I've never
Rachel-
divulged to anybody my story. I mean, my family and my immediate my immediate close friends knew my story about like my
And Janine.
and then I'm sitting here with Janine, and her and I are crying. We're like, 2 hours later, we're like, I've never shared that with anybody. She's like, neither have I. I'm like,
Rachel,
we're
that
like, holy shit.
that is so well. That says a lot about Janine, first of all, because I feel like
100%.
there was something about that felt safe. But like that, it's hilarious because I love those kinds of conversations.
Yeah.
And like completely unexpectedly, we had someone come not too long ago to clean. Again, you've heard me say I've got 3 kids. We had a dog. I had someone come clean the couches. They needed it so bad. And by the time he left, I knew everything. And like you don't even realize it. I'm just like, I'm asking him questions. He's giving me
100%.
information, and I'm just like, this is great. And it's like I'm like, I got to go, and you probably do too. I
Right.
love those conversations.
Yeah.
Though.
No,
They're
but
the
that's how it
best.
is with you and I. And we could sit
Yeah.
for hours and talk.
Even just the other night, I feel like there was a few of us in the kitchen, and you and
100%.
I, it's like volleying the ball back and forth. I'm
Absolutely.
like, it's your turn.
100%. Like,
no,
and
the
we're very
coffee-
aligned with a lot of things, like with,
Yeah.
you know, like where we at in our business, which is interesting because, you know, I have to also be very mindful, like not to judge myself as to like where I'm at with my business being almost 55. And like, I look at these, I admire a lot of these other clinicians, other coaches, other entrepreneurs, really.
Yeah.
And I say, oh my God, they're so much further ahead. And I'm like, well, shit, they're like 30. Rachel, give yourself a fucking break. You're
No,
like,
but
you didn't have any of that.
So I do that too. You know where I find myself doing that? And I think this is probably true across the board. We're just talking about it in the work world.
Right.
But I find myself social media.
Oh, without a doubt. But that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, on my professional account. But it's inspiring. Like I look at, and it's also different seasons, right? Like I was very content when my kids were younger. I worked a little bit in treatment and I worked private practice, and it was, you know, I had my few days.
Yep.
I was content, and now my kids are older, and it's almost like I'm ready to start back up again, right? Which isn't so new now, but that was kind of like the switch flipped. I look at some of the younger, you know, therapists and professionals, and it's easy to kind of be like, you know, if only I had or this, but it was just different seasons,
Right.
Right.
And that's
like
exactly it. And you're 100% correct because
it's easy to get caught in that and hard to remember that it's just different.
right. When I look at that and going back to that social media, right? Some people that I follow, I'm looking at them and then I look at their background and I think, because before I even knew like their background, I'm like, damn, they speak so well. They can put stuff together. They can act stuff out. And then I see that they had 10 years of wanting to be an actress.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
well, holy
Yeah.
shit. No wonder they're so
Yeah.
fabulous because they are fabulous, but they also are comfortable.
Sure.
Right?
And there's something to be said for, it's not like I didn't grow up with this. I am not, if I could ask for one skill that I don't have aside from being a professional dancer, not that type of dancer, but I'd be able,
Just envisioning you
I know,
with a
as
pole with like this thong, and I'm
as
like,
I said
well,
that,
but you
I'm
know
like,
what? You
I feel
are
like
very
your
open
eyes,
at your home,
Your eyes,
right?
yeah,
like,
but like
you're like
not
poop,
that
poop
kind
hair,
of.
you know, like.
What I meant was being one of the backup dancers for Justin Timberlake or something. But back to the point at hand, what I would ask for would be like the ability to navigate the tech world and be digitally savvy. And that's something that the younger
generation have.
I'm not old enough to say the younger generation, but I guess I am. But that's something that they all have. They know how to do these things. And like I am, it does not come to me easily.
No, so think about that, right? You're turning 40. The people who are in their late 20s, early 30s, they have grown up with. Because I think
Exactly,
my
yeah.
son said to me the other day that Facebook was, and do not come at me if I'm wrong with my date, but I think he said it was like 2013 that Facebook kind of came out. No? We're wrong, Janine? 08?
Yeah, because I
Okay.
graduated.
I'm sure
I
we
think
can
it was
ask
before
Siri.
then. I think it was 06.
Hold on. This is where hey Siri,
or 05.
when did Facebook start? Oh shit, we're all wrong.
What is it?
2004.
Yeah, that makes
okay,
sense.
so 2004, I was 33 years old. So I was 33 years old.
Yeah, when
I just first got
yeah.
Facebook. I don't even think I first got it, but when I first heard about
Yeah,
it, right?
yeah.
So maybe Instagram came around. I'm not going to ask it, but yeah. So think about that. I'm 34, right? Turning 34, 33
Right.
years old, 33, 34. So 33, 34 years old, there was not a single thing that
Right.
I was on.
Yeah.
And my oldest was born in 2003. So he has been raised.
He doesn't know life without it.
He doesn't know life without Facebook.
It's just different.
Right.
You can't compare.
Correct.
Yeah.
So to say that they have a leg up also wouldn't be fair because they also just, it's the season, it's the
Yeah.
time. That's what they were given. Just
Yeah.
like we could navigate AOL, right?
Right. Oh,
Or dial-ups,
I still
right?
have an AOL email.
They
Do you
don't.
know
They
that?
look at phones. Like I think
Yeah.
we took our kids to London when we took our kids to London, and they had official like the phone booths, right? They still have phone booths in London.
Yeah.
And my kids at that time, I think they were 6. They're like, took pictures, and they're like, "Mommy, what is this?" I'm like, "This is a phone," and they're like, "A phone? That's not a phone."
Yeah.
Because this is a phone.
Right.
Like this is a phone to them.
So my youngest, that's like if we ever do like a cruise or a hotel and they have the like
Yeah.
regular phones, it's like the funnest thing to him. He's like, I mean, who has that anymore? No one has like a phone on their wall. But back to what you were saying, it's easy to say that you're, not on the same level in some ways,
Right.
which obviously you're not, I'm not, right? Just because of the differences. And also, that's also fine.
I
Like,
was just going to
that's-
say, but that goes back to us not using that as a reason we can't do things.
Right.
Right? Because
Right.
it's easy to get stuck in that helpless space like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up with that, right? That doesn't mean we can't learn.
Yeah.
And that's definitely something I've been learning.
Yeah.
And I also radically accept that I can just find somebody who I can pay overseas.
Who
and
has the skills.
Who has the skills
Yeah.
for a lot less than it takes. Because for me to learn, I can learn certain things, and I'm willing to learn things because I do think it's important. I mean, I just learned how to make my own landing page, right? Like, and that
awesome.
took me hours. Even though I had a really good video, I was telling you this. I had this great video. My web designer gave me some training videos, and they're not long, 7 minutes and 34 seconds. But there was the way she set it up. The one piece that wasn't connecting was at the end of
Yeah,
the video.
you
It was
said
literally
that.
at the
That's
last
amazing.
minute, and I was like, I watched it 15 times, and I'm like, where
I'm
is this piece?
missing
I'm
it.
missing something. And then I'm like, just stop. Stop what you're doing, Rachel. Take a walk. I walked for 5 minutes. I came back. I didn't pick up a pen. I didn't get my notebook out. I didn't start it so I can follow it along. I just listened.
Yeah.
And wouldn't you know, this like aha moment, I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. This is where that piece was
The
the whole
whole time.
time. This video hasn't changed. But that's where we get stuck, and we
Yeah.
have to learn to be able to take a step back
Yeah.
and just take a stop and radically accept that it's okay right now. Like it's here. It may not be where we think it should be.
Yeah.
Right? Because our brains may work in one way.
Yeah.
But
That's
taking
true.
that step back with intention
Yeah.
and mindfulness and just saying, okay, let me just take a breath.
Yeah. You're so right. And it's so hard to remember to do that in the moment when your
Yeah.
body is activated and you're like, I just gotta, I also love what you said about the, like knowing when and where to exercise, like bringing somebody in and
Yeah.
not doing it all yourself. I feel like one of the things, and I don't know if you would agree with this, but one of the things that I'm recognizing, and I actually feel incredibly excited for this to only get more clear as I continue to get older, my time, the way that I've become so intentional, and I'll call it selfish, and that's
I don't think it's selfish at
perfectly
all.
fine with me.
It's like that mask that you put on yourself in the airplane.
My time is like, I'm so hyper aware of it, and not in this, I hope it's not in this very, I don't think it's anxiety driven. It's more of this, like every bit of my time, it's my greatest resource. And it really is, right? And so being mindful and not just talking about work, but just across the board. You were asking about the balance between work and home, and truly like recognizing when it's worth it, when
Yep.
it's not worth it, when it's something that I want to, or it's going to be connected to an experience, or like I was saying, this 40 before 40, like
Yeah.
the joy element of that, and being so mindful over what costs me that and what isn't worth it. That's so huge.
100%.
So huge.
And, it's interesting that you said that because about your time, because I've never looked at my time as not valuable, but like
infinite
or
finite.
worth something, right? I know I'm a good clinician. Obviously, I know that. I'm a good therapist. I'm a good coach. I know that. I know I'm a good mom.
Yeah.
I know that I'm a good wife. Could I be better at all those things at times? Absolutely. But when it comes down to breaking down my time, and it's funny because somebody that I'm going to have on my podcast soon, Adam House, who is a great entrepreneur, but he asked me a question, Rachel, how much do you charge an hour? And I told him. And then he said, how long does it take for you to create X, Y, and Z? Right? Like I think we were talking about my website. I'm like, I don't know. That would probably take me, like, honestly, realistically, probably 40 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm being kind. I think it would probably take me a lot longer because I could tell you that landing page that I
Took
had
you longer than you
instructions
thought.
for
Yeah.
took me 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
Right? So if I multiply that 40 hours times what I charge per hour.
What's worth it? I know it changes how you.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's when I started.
Well, we were just talking
putting
about
that-
this yesterday.
Yeah.
I feel like, well, and what's also interesting about the nature of the work that we do, and I'm shifting a little bit from this, the coaching work that I do
Yeah.
is a little bit differently. Is a little bit different, and some of like the other, like the retreat, right? That those types of things are obviously a little different, but the core and the essence of the work we do is hourly. And so when you
100%.
when you have like a day like yesterday, I think I had I maybe had 6 sessions yesterday. No, yeah, I had 6 sessions yesterday with a little bit of a break in between. But when that is your day and it is structured by the hour, if you're not intentional, if you're not thinking about those things, and you even said this to me, we had when we were talking yesterday, and you made the same comment about like thinking about things this way, we can very easily drown in that.
100%.
I mean, everyone can, right? It's just the nature of our work, and happens to be very it's time blocked, right?
Right.
And I do think that there's something, as I have gotten older and as my kids are getting older, I recognize how, like, I feel like I used to be a person, I loved being busy. I was like, everything was
Yeah.
yes. I would look at my calendar, and if it was like there was an open weekend, I'm like, where are we going to go? What are we going to do?
100%.
Who are we going to make plans with? And I find myself now, when we have a weekend or a day when there's no, like, I long for open time.
Yeah.
That is just not committed to anything. And, there's like something so important about thinking about it in that way.
Yeah.
And I do think that has definitely gotten better as I've gotten older, but it is a result of being really intentional about how how the work that we do
100%.
and how we show up with that.
Yeah. And I agree with that. And that's why I think it's interesting, because we've talked about, like, both of us shifting into that coaching piece, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're taught in one way in school, sessions, right?
Yeah.
I've never thought of, like, how much money do I want to make?
Right.
I've just been like, who needs help? I'm helping you.
Right,
I'm here.
right, yeah.
Right. But the reality is that, like, I am a business and I
Yeah.
am a person, in the way that I'm going to not burn myself out
Yeah.
and still be as effective and as efficient as possible for every part of my life that I
Yeah.
want to be in, is to think differently.
Yeah. There's so much talk right now, I feel like, around that conversation, specifically within our field, because there is, and I feel like this applies to the education, right? Like teachers.
Yeah.
I think that there is something where there's this idea that, like, we're drawn to this profession, most of us, because we want to help, and we feel, like, I know for me, like, I'm meant to do this.
100%.
I there was never anything else, right? Like,
Correct.
And there's this real interesting conversation as more and more therapists are not accepting insurance, and and are trying to find a way to do what the world needs, because I think the world needs this more than ever. Do what the world needs, what people need, while also not at the expense of burning out or this is dramatic, but kind of like killing ourselves, right?
100%.
Like, and it's, I don't know what the end looks like, because I feel like it's a very big pendulum swing right now. But yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I think that what takes me away from my kids, what takes me away from my husband, what takes me away from the things that are important, also has to be incredibly valuable and
For sure.
worth it. Right?
And that's exactly why I started this podcast. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't start this podcast for any reason other than I would love to help everybody. And I do know that, I mean, I haven't taken insurance for, I don't even know, 17 years.
I've never
18.
taken, yeah.
right? No, because I think that when I first started out, like I needed to get on some insurances,
Yeah.
and start working. But
Yeah.
you know,
I also think it was different. I think that
yeah, it was very different.
at that time, it used to be, right, like mental health, it was like you were guaranteed a certain amount of sessions. You could have X amount in a calendar year. It was going to look
Correct.
like this. And now it's
Now
just like the
a
wild, wild west.
crapshoot,
There's
right?
no.
Right.
I
and
also
they don't
want to
even
say.
pay enough for therapists because by the time
No.
you do the billing and all, like you've just spent an hour.
Forget
to do
it.
billing
And do you know, I actually have had two people who have had to pay insurances back. Have you heard this?
No.
Have literally been asked to pay what they were reimbursed. How crazy is that?
Why?
And I don't
We don't
know
need to
enough
get into that.
about
That's a whole
it.
other
Yeah.
thing, but
anyway,
that's-
I was
yeah.
also going to say,
But that's why I started this podcast, because I wanted
it's accessible
to.
and
It's free.
Yeah.
I pay for it. I pay for this, but nobody's paying to subscribe to my channel.
Yeah.
I created it strictly so that people who couldn't access the resources, didn't have the finances to pay for the resources, didn't have the families who supported therapy type of treatment, could at least listen to something. I mean, and this podcast episode is a little closer to an hour. I did some talking on my phone that were 5 minutes, 7 minutes.
Yeah.
But that's why I started it, because I wanted to be able to help whoever I could.
Yeah.
You know, I always say if I win the lottery, because I do sometimes play the lottery, but when I win the lottery, not if, when I win the lottery, like
love it.
I wouldn't stop working. I would
Yeah.
just not charge for it. I would just do it in a very,
I love that.
very different capacity.
I love that. And I do think that that's one of the beautiful things about social media, right? Like there's so much, because it is your podcast and even the
Yeah.
information that you put out on your pages, right? Like there's
Yeah.
so much valuable information. I also want to say, and this is going back to the beginning of the conversation about the retreat and the time element. And this is when I had said, like, I so admired how quickly you were like, yeah, I got to do this. Even doing something like that, right? Like, and shifting out of, you know, that is such a time commitment. It's such a gift to give to yourself, to take away from, all the things that pull us in all these different directions. And I feel similarly the way you're describing the podcast. I
Yeah.
feel similarly about the idea of putting on these retreats being an opportunity for that type of time, different than, a structured like hour a week here or an hour a
100%.
week there. And we don't always do that.
Right. So, because you and I could sit and talk forever, and because I've had caffeine and I feel like I
Could really
I could be
talk
up
forever.
all freaking day. My husband is not going to be super happy.
He's
Sorry,
not sleeping.
babe. No, I'm not somebody that does well on caffeine. Like this has taken a lot. My brain is like
Firing.
to let people finish conversation, like let them finish a sentence, because my brain doesn't stop.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, where can people find you? Because I think that's so important, because you have so much to offer as a coach, as a therapist, but just where can people find you?
Thank you.
Which these things are also going to be your contacts, your handlers are going to be in the show notes.
Okay.
But tell people where they could find you.
So I am only on Instagram at the moment, which feels like enough. But my Instagram is wellness.with.Corynne. And I am a hybrid therapist in Florida. I do coaching worldwide. And these retreats, which I know we've mentioned a little bit, we are getting ready to launch our second one, which will be February.
By the way, is only I'm really being very territorial, and I am gatekeeping, because I just am so.
You're like, well, we got to go.
We're not going. We're not going to talk about that retreat, because that's only for C13.
Because it's
But
already spoken for.
It's already spoken for. But no. But seriously.
So we're planning, my co-founder Jenna and I, and Christina, who is our phenomenal yoga instructor, we are planning our next retreat for Tulum in February of 27. And I'm the way that these are like so passion projects of mine. I'm so excited for that.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that
Stay
information.
tuned. Because I have an idea for that. You're going
Ooh.
to have 2 retreats back to back, one for C13, and
Oh,
then the other one for all of you new people that want to come,
that aren't a part of
that
the
are
original.
not part of C13.
I love that.
No, but seriously, it is. I'm open to anybody new, because you just, whoever you're sending the flyer to and you're inviting is very probably similar. I'm assuming similar to who you are, and
I hope so.
like-minded. Going back to every single person. Although we have all different stories.
Yeah.
Right.
I hope this is an okay thing to say, but I'm going to
Just
say it
say
because
it.
it's authentic. The integrity of the retreat, and Jenna and I were very upfront about this with each other. There were actually we I don't want to say turned people away, but there were 2 people actually 3, but it was like a group of 2 another who were interested and honestly were not right for different reasons. And the retreat, I don't want to say again we turned them away, but it would have compromised what the intention and the integrity of what we were doing. And so the way that you feel protective about it,
I'm sure.
I get that, and and know that I do too.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Corynne.
Thank you for having me. This was
so. I'm so glad that you get to be on your first podcast here
Thank
before
you.
40.
I know that one I got in. We got to talk after. We're going to plan our biohack day.
For sure. 100%.
All right. Well, you're amazing, and it was such a treat to get to talk to you.
So again, thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, go ahead and rate, leave me 5-star reviews because that's how this gets pushed out and it can help more people. But more importantly, just keep being your imperfectly human self. And that is what this world needs. Just kind, authentic people.